Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning about functions. Functions are a set of code that you define before you start writing the main code, and there are many uses for functions. Let me give you an example of where you could use function. Here you see that I have a user input. It tells me to say something, and if whatever I say is 1, I print all of this. If I say 2, it prints the same thing. If I say 3, it prints the same thing. Now it's very tedious to try to write 3 prints every single time. So there's a solution to this. What we can do is copy this, put it into a function. The way you define a function is by writing def, and you can set the name to be whatever you want. I'll just say printable. So this is how you set up a function. You're gonna write def to define the function. You're gonna give the function your own name and end it with the parentheses. I'll explain what the parentheses is in a minute. Now underneath, you're gonna copy and paste whatever you want to print multiple times. Notice that I have an indent right below the def function. This is because if there wasn't an indent, all of these things wouldn't be considered a part of this function. So your function would remain empty. So now that we have our function defined, let's see how to call it. When you have the function defined, Python doesn't automatically run all these things for you. It's just a set of code that is set aside into one package, and then you have to call it by yourself. The way you call it is just by writing the function name and the parentheses. If I write this here, now whenever main is equal to 1, it's gonna run all of these. Let's replace all of these with just our function. There you go. Now let's try this out. I call the function every time main equals 1, 2, or 3. There you go. It types up all of the prints. Now let's try with the number 2. Again, it prints up all the things. So you can see here that all I needed was one function that had all 3 of these print functions, and whenever I needed to print these things, all I have to do is call the function and it does all of this for me automatically. There's also a few more other things that you can do with the function. One thing is the docstring. A docstring is a comment that starts with 3 quotation marks and is placed under the function to explain what the function is doing. So here I'll write it is printing all of these messages. End it with 3 quotation marks. This is called the docstring. Now let's move on to parameters and arguments. Parameters and arguments are what this parentheses exists for. Inside the parentheses, you can put any variable you want. For this example, we'll pick x. And using the x, you can use it inside the function to make something happen when you don't know what it is. Let me give you an example. I'll say print x here. Now, I don't know what x is, so I leave that up to how I call the function. X is just a placeholder, so when x is defined, it'll print x. Let's look at an example. Printable, then hi. I put hi inside this parentheses now, so when I call printable hi, it's replacing x with this quotation marks, hi, and quotation. So what the function is supposed to do is print this. Let's check it out. There you go. It prints hi, that's a number, but not any number. It's a cool number. We can also do this with numbers. We can put a 1 there. Let's check this one out. 1. It prints 1. We can put a string of a number plus a string of another number, and it'll print 12. So that's how you use parameters and arguments using the parentheses. That's it for today's video. In the next video, you'll be learning about lists and dictionaries.